Now, as you know, the BVAS and IREV technologies that were deployed by the Electoral Commission, INEC, for the conduct of Nigeria's presidential election were supposed to be a game changer. But ask critics and they'll tell you that far from it, BVAS and IREV brilliantly darkened the election, becoming the low blow, the back alley, and the means by which perverse attempts to circumvent Nigeria's constitutional democracy were carried out. And this, after all, the talking up of those technologies, with Nigerians being told consistently for months that the electoral system would be dramatically improved by BVAS and IREV and would be virtually watertight, preventing any attempts at fraud and manipulation. So was it all just a PR campaign that was delusionally far from reality? And with another crucial election on the horizon, how can INEC and its various mouthpieces rail back the fundamental lack of trust and the backlash? Well, one of the most prominent proponents and advocates of BVAS was the lawyer and former INEC resident electoral commissioner Mike Igini. He consistently gave prescient, immersive analysis of the benefits and impregnability of BVAS. And Mr. Igini joins me now on the line. Mike, thank you very much indeed for joining us. And I have to say that this is your first interview, I believe, since the presidential election. And we're very honored that you chose us to speak about your assessment of how it all went. You are, I mean, of course, you really talked up BVAS as the means of enhancing electoral integrity, something which for many has now been torn to pieces. Are you still gung-ho about the BVAS and confident about the electoral process after the presidential election cast clear aspersions on the technology and the people that oversee it at INEC?
Thank you, Charles, for having me, and good evening to the entire people of my country, Nigeria, both home and in diaspora. First, it is true. This is my first public engagement after my last engagement with Nigerian people ended on the 24th of February, a day before the election, after 1 year of rigorous, as we rightly chronicle, voters' education that I embarked on the basis of the law, on the basis of process and procedure, on the basis of over 105 elections that we conducted, and my clarion call, even after leaving office, which I did in service of the fatherland, freely, without being paid, using the platform offered by your management, the CEO, our Duke of Delta, Nuka Bagbana, and I had the privilege of being on this your program, Channel Television, TV Continental, AIT, for over a year, where my clarion call was that in a democracy, participation is very key, and that we have developed some solution as exemplified by the BVAS to address historical challenges of election service delivery in our country. That the greatest promise in a democracy is peaceful transfer of power on a periodic basis. And so, what I said about the BVAS remain true, because in the course of this program, I will show to Nigerians, and I'm going to show some data to show to you what the BVAS has brought on board, that the BVAS remain a fashion symbol of hope, of electoral integrity that is unequal in our fatherland. However, the outcome of the 25th February presidential and national assembly election has been an issue in our country. And largely because just one aspect that had to do with the upload of the presidential elections. Otherwise, and as we go on with this program, every other thing I'm going to explain were as I indicated. However, with respect to the outcome, which is now before the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, as well as also for those of Senatorial House of Assembly, House of Representatives, as a lawyer, with the best of our tradition, I will not speak about the issue that have been thrown up, the explanation that need to be given beyond education I gave, the difference between giving education and on the day of implementation, Mike Igini left INEC since last year. Any expenditure that is required by our people, the people of our country, we have to be given by the commission. So I will not go into that area. But the BVAS, on account of the fact that we are going to have another election on the 18th of March, Charles, is the reason why, on account of the cacophony of voices, on account of the feeling of Nigerians, I have over 2,500 text messages, and I've got over 1,000 calls about going forward. I have this to say here, that the ill of democracy can only be cured by more democracy. With respect to the BVAS, I have this to say, that the BVAS, as I said, and I will repeat and reiterate here, that the BVAS function, the BVAS delivers, the BVAS won, because, and I want your station to put out a table to show that from Abia State down to Zamfara, I'm currently carrying out a review of so many things that have happened. And I'm going to use my state, Delta State, where I come from. This is not the table, the first table about yes. Now, the table you are seeing here, if you can highlight it for Nigerian people to see, I told Nigerian people that with the BVAS, is going to bring about, we will put an end to the invidious figure that were posted in several parts of the country, where in communities, like I told you people, before the election, over and again, that in the difficult terrain area, any part of Nigeria, either in the upland or in the riverine area, where people used to post invidious figures, that BVAS was going to put an end to it. Now, if you look using data, charity but being for home, and as I'm telling you, Charles, I'm carrying out an overview from Abia State to Zamfara, so that we can put live to some historical use of data during the election in our country. With the table you are having there, I am from Delta Central. We have 3 senatorial districts in Delta. And I decided to bring out some preliminary figures that I'm still looking at to show to the whole world what BVAS has done for integrity of the votes, the number of accreditation. You will see that from 2011, if you look at the figure posted there in 2011, you will see the number that are posted in that particular table that you are looking at. In 2011, Ethiopia West, I'm an Roboman. So I'm using my own area to show that what is unacceptable in my area is also unacceptable in any part of data detailed across the country. And that's why I'm doing that review. And I'm going to bring out data so that we can bring sanity to that process. Now, if you look at that table, Charles, in 2011, Ethiopian West will post 17,335. It cannot. That's another thing that they have taken each from each of the international districts. They posted 14,360. Warri Southwest posted 50,933. You will check the rerun of 2011, you see the figures. You check out of 2015, you see the figures. They keep increasing because we are in a country where if you become a House of Assembly member, you are a governor, suddenly in the next voter registration, the number of registrators in your figure will now balloon because they were rigging elections. Now, this is what BVAS have done. In 2019, the last election just conducted, look, in my own fatherland, the area of Delta where I'm a robo man, a place that posted 62,044 in 2019 election with the BVAS that have brought integrity, sanity. The figure today is now 4,403. Similarly, and there's a big question mark with respect to Ika Northeast. There are things going on there. That posted 67,000 plus in 2019. With the regime of BVAS, the figures are now 60,696, which is not correct. I told you that preliminary figures. But look at the Warri Southwest. That posted 139,534 in 2019. And they just concluded the election. They posted 3,103. What am I saying here? Charles, in our program, I told the whole world that with BVAS, that those who think that automatically the Senate will be a retirement home for outgoing governors, that was not going to happen. I'm not saying that if you are a governor and you intend to go to the Senate, that you cannot go to the Senate. But before now, without the BVAS, having disabled corridor and what it did with corridor, with BVAS, it is clear that the dinosaur experience I spoke about have occurred. Furthermore, who would have believed that an Okada rider will win an election? It is the BVAS that has brought that to bear now.
Okay,
So
Mike,
country,
you've made a lot of points there.
A fetching symbol of hope.
Right, you've made a lot of points, and obviously this has to be a dialogue. But I understand the facts, which is why we obviously had you explain a lot of this, because you needed to make those points and to use your chart to make the point. And you spoke of an axis of electoral evil in Nigeria, and you were using your own state, Delta State, where you come from, to kind of emphasize that point. But what do you see then, given all the issues that have emerged from this presidential election? What do you see as the gains of the presidential election from the point of view of INEC? Because you mentioned BVAS and all the things that it can do, but there are also a lot of issues with technology. What do you see as the gains of this presidential election?
Well, Charles, first and foremost, in the entire 176,606 polling units, or less, if you remove 240 polling units where there were no where there were no registered voters, out of the 176,846 polling units are declared by the commission. Clearly, undoubtedly, unequivocally, the BVAS did what it was expected to do. Beyond places where thugs prevented Nigerians from voting during the election. But BVAS, we must be clear here, Charles. There's a difference between, as I said before, in the course of my education, that good laws, innovations are not self-executory. They are not self-implementing. It will require people to do that. Now, that was the education I gave after the election. What is required to be done in places where there are no conformity to rules or where there are deviation, starting from the polling units, it is those who are saddled with that responsibility from the polling unit to all layers of level that must give accounts, that must give explanation. Society make progress on the basis of rewards and punishment. But what I want us to make clear is that what I'm hearing that the BVAS has failed, it is wholly incorrect to say that BVAS has failed. After all, the only issue, which is now going to be issued before the court, has been that the presidential results were not uploaded from the polling unit.
Right, and what do you think? I mean, Mike, you worked with INEC. You had an inside track for many years. I mean, you understand the Electoral Commission better than most people. What do you think went? Because you're saying that the only issue with the presidential election, in your expert assessment, from a technological point of view, was simply the transmission of results, and that there was nothing else wrong with the BVAS as far as you're concerned. So what do you think prevented that result from being transmitted? Because obviously that was key, wasn't it?
Absolutely. That is one component part of the entire chain of the value chain. And as I said, and you know, when I looked at some of the messages sent to me by Charles, very many Nigerians would appreciate that what I did that freely. But let me quickly go to that. And that is that I left INEC since August. The explanation as to what happened with that has to come from the commission and not Mike Igini, who gave selflessly. I wasn't paid. Look, Charles, let me say this here. Let it not be that for people like us, for over 30 years, we're fighting for this country, for democracy and the rule of law. You know that my vote is for due process, because the old embrace of democracy is essentially because it brings about participation and accountability to the process of human development. And so that explanation, at least respectfully, I mean, that should not be coming from me, because I don't have answer to that. And in any case, where we are right now, already the courts is already seized of that matter.
Yes, look, but Mike, I totally understand that. Again, I apologize for interrupting you. And I know that you, as you said, admittedly, you spoke so robustly about BVAS and you tried to educate Nigerians about it. And I have to agree and admit that that was really selfless service. But the impression that people have is that it failed. And I understand what you're saying, that you know, that INEC has to do a lot of explanation. But do you concede that there seems to be a sense that INEC is not making any particular effort to rebuild trust? It's not telling us what reconfiguring, for example, the BVAS entails. It's not allowing lawyers from the opposition parties access to the materials. It's all a mystery. And they never told us what the technical glitches are. So trust is very low and is getting lower. What can you say to raise the trust of the Nigerian public in INEC as another crucial election looms?
Well, Charles, as I have said, I left the commission since last year. And I can understand, I've watched since on the 25th. My advice is for the commission to continue to engage and also put forward the explanation that people are seeking, because I am no longer there. And in any case, the reason why I decided to say, look, this is my country. I have no other country. In fact, when I left university, very many people left the country. That's 30 years ago, but some of us who stayed back. We fought for democracy. And so, for me, the reason why I came out is to call on Nigerians that you cannot give up. I mean, elections are in two phases. The process is still ongoing. The kind of thing I've done before, it is not for me to continue to do that. But I became very worried, Charles, when I got over 2,500 messages on this matter about their concern about the forthcoming election, which I think we should focus on. Because we want Nigeria to have what we call total experience. I know that the outcome of elections will lead to met and unmet expectation. The outcome of election will lead to disappointment. The outcome of election naturally will lead to injured feeling and wooden pride. But we still have another phase of election. The commission from interview one of channels yesterday, a few statements issued. All I need to say, from what I know about the system before I left, which is what I think should be in place, and is in place, is that come March 18, I call on the people of Nigeria that the BVAS is still there. If not for the BVAS, some of the celebrations you are seeing around today, it would not have happened. Charles, the forthcoming election is going to be more challenging. I must say this to you here. In your last program, I put forward, you see, a stone thing coming should not blind the eye. I put up a table about what will happen before the presidential election. Today, tonight, I'm also going to put forward before Nigerians so that I'm well understood, well ahead, that for the governorship and state of assembly election is going to be more challenging. On security, security have to do more than double its efforts, because I could see the operational order of the Inspector General of Police, theoretically, on paper, very fantastic. But in terms of implementation, I'm not too sure that the IG, from the much I know of what he has done in the past, and the ingenuity that I put on the operational order, that will be satisfied with what happened with respect to security. Why? Right. You have three layers. You have three layers.
Very briefly, Mike, because we're almost out of time.
All right. You have three layers of security. How do you explain that the first layer, second layer, the inner layer where you don't have armed men that they could come in to stop that? We need to review whether we should not have security men who themselves will be in danger, where you have them not armed and you not have talk coming in there. That's number one. On the table, you can put out that table here. For anybody to be declared a governor in each state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, let me now put this up front now, so that returning officer who perhaps could check the arise this program tonight, so that people don't say, like what happened in the other election, that what I said was after the election. I'm saying this on a Monday, before Saturday election. That is to say, in the country at the moment, only 13 states that you have when you have to compute to 10 of each local government, you only have 13 states. For the other 22 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you now have a situation where, because of the arbitrary creation of local governments, a state like Abia is 13.3. A state like Akwa Ibom is 27.7. You cannot fractionalize numbers of local government. So is it the upper limit or the lower limit that you need to take? Mathematically, I'm not a mathematician, but the figures are out there for people to see that in order to avoid returning officers being pushed around or being compromised,
right,
without being guided.
Okay,
we've important that this table should be well studied.
Right.
Finally,
okay.
As a closing remarks, all I need to say is that the Nigerian people, the country is your country. The only thing that we can do to make our country move forward is for everybody to come forward, whatever role you have to play, that the success of election is a reflection of our collective values or what we want for ourselves, not only for ourselves, but for our children, whose faces we are yet to see, whose name we will never know.
To be entirely fair, Mike,
in our own time, we did the right thing.
Right. To be entirely fair, the majority of Nigerians simply, the majority of people who picked up their voters card simply want to go out and vote. They're not the ones who deal with security. They're not the ones who, they're not the political parties. They're just people who want the right to vote. We've got a minute or so. Where do people turn to right now? Because if they turn to INEC, there's a problem there. They turn to the judiciary, there's a potential problem. They turn to the security services, as you mentioned, there's a problem. How did Nigeria get here, and how does it get out of it? And we've got a minute, please, so very brief.
Hope as to what a people who are determined to achieve is natural to human beings. Nigerians must take responsibility, and the best responsibility to take is for all of them to go to the polling unit. After all, were it not for the kind of education that civil society, we all collectively gave an order, people would not have been in custody of results today. My clarion call is that all Nigerians go to the polling units on Saturday, coming Saturday. Make a choice if you want to be a governor. Make a choice if you want to be a member of House of Assembly of your respective states. When you get to the polling unit, at the end of the poll,
right,
record it, snap it, make sure that you are in control of that. So that
okay, well, they did that in the presidential election, and it didn't make any difference. But Mike, I want to thank you very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us. Mike Igini is a former resident electoral commissioner for INEC, and he's also a lawyer. Mike, thank you very much.